We're on the advanced server once again and did some tests with the Revamped Phoveus. We also did some comparisons with the original server version to see how much the difference is and if the new Phoveus is better. If you want more content like this, hit like, share, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. First, let's talk about his passive skill, Demonic Force. The revamped version allowed Phoveus to gain temporary bonus movement speed and will allow him to jump or charge at any hero within 8 units of Phoveus after they blink, dash, or get displaced by a control effect. His basic attacks will also cause them to get pulled to Phoveus while in this state. This effect has a 15 to 8 second cooldown time that scales based on a level. On the surface, it looks like the new passive is bad because it no longer reduces Phoveus' skill cooldown times, and the passive skill itself has a cooldown time of its own. But if you think about it, this new passive allows Phoveus to not just charge towards his enemies, it also inflicts control effects to them, which can be very annoying during fights. Not to mention that it helps force enemies to get displaced, thus helping Phoveus sustain his ultimate's activation condition. Oh, and in case you haven't noticed yet, Revamped Phoveus is manaless. Deity Summon is his revamped first skill, and it resembles his old first skill. However, it no longer gains charges, and it also deals smaller damage. Also, it seems there is a typographical error on the revamped skill description because this skill no longer provides a shield to Phoveus. Yet, they still put it on the description for some reason. Anyway, the initial impact of this skill only deals damage, while recasting it leaves Aster's Eye on the ground, which pulls all hostile units to its center and also reduces his passive skill's cooldown time by 50%. Another thing that was removed is the ability of this skill to resonate. As far as damage and sustain are concerned, this skill is definitely weaker than his old first skill. However, it now has the ability to displace enemies, which makes it synergize better with the rest of his skills. Basically, his revamped first skill is a combination of the old first skill and second skill while nerfing some of its stats for balancing reasons. Dark Wave is Phoveus' new second skill, which is very powerful because it not only deals damage to enemies along its path, it also knocks them airborne and drags them towards Phoveus. It's an excellent crowd control skill that can be very useful in any battle. To me, this is a huge plus. It's a skill with zero drawbacks. Synergizes well with the rest of his skills thanks to its displacement effect, inflicts damage to a large area, and also inflicts 2 different control effects. Infernal Pursuit is his revamped ultimate. It deals less damage, no longer provides a shield to Phoveus, and has a shorter range. However, it doesn't have a cooldown time anymore, which makes it castable every time the conditions of the skill is met. In some situations, this skill is bad since a lot of the things that made it great were removed, but in most situations, it's better since it can be activated anytime as long as there are enemies around Phoveus that he was able to force to move. To clarify, Phoveus' ultimate cannot be activated if enemy heroes around him dashes or blinks. Instead, Phoveus actually has to force the enemy heroes to move using his skills. Using spells like Flame Shot to push back enemies will no longer meet his ultimate's condition, unlike the version on the original server. As for the model, I think the revamped version looks great. His basic attack animation also has this illusion that makes him look like he has a longer range than he has. It can be mentally stressful for inexperienced enemies and can be a useful tool when peeling. Another important change they applied on Phoveus is how his skill damage scales. He still deals magic damage, but his skill damage becomes more powerful based on physical attack. This means giving him physical attack items will become the norm once this version gets released. That is, if they retain this new skill damage scaling and have it carried over to the original server. Since he lost his ability to gain a shield after casting some of his skills, it might be a good idea to build mostly defensive items in order to last longer in team fights. In my opinion, he should only have 1 to 2 damage items while the rest are defensive items. As for the emblem and talents, I think it's best to give him greater HP sustain, so choosing the fighter emblem with Festival of Blood might be the best choices. Here are other viable emblems and talents for Phoveus. That concludes our Mobile Legends content for today. What do you think of Revamped Phoveus? Are these the necessary changes he needs in order to become a more relevant part of the meta? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and if you haven't yet, don't forget to hit like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay safe everyone. Peace.